Am I the asshole for calling my hot-tempered guy coworker emotional to embarrass him into calming TF down? So I'm an engineer and I'm working on a team with 7 decently chill guys and 1 guy with anger issues. Like he can't just have a respectful disagreement. He'll raise his voice and yell and get up close to your face. I hate it, so I started by just complaining to my boss about it, and he brushed it under the rug saying he is just like that. And if I thought he was bad now, I should have seen him 10 years ago before he mellowed out. It makes me wonder what he was like 10 years ago because he sure ain't mellow now. It's also a small enough company that there's no hour, only the corporate management, which didn't help, so I took a different approach. I stopped calling him angry, or calling what he was doing, arguing, or yelling. I just swapped in the words emotional, or throwing a tantrum, or having a fit. I was kinda hoping if I could shift his reputation from domineering big man vibes to emotional and tantruming weak sad baby vibes. So I started just making subtle comments. Like if I had a meeting with him and he got a temper, I'd mention to the other people, wow, it's crazy how emotional Jay got. I dunno how he has the energy to throw a hissy fit at 9 a.m. I'm barely awake. Or when my boss asked me to recap a meeting he missed, I told him, Dan, Jack, and James had some really great feedback on my report for this client. Jay kinda had trouble managing his emotions and had a temper tantrum again. But you know how he gets. Quote. Or when a coworker asked why he was yelling, I'd say, honestly I don't even know. He was getting so emotional about it he wasn't speaking rationally. Quote. I tried to drop it in subtly and some of my coworkers started picking it up. I don't think consciously, just saying stuff like, oh, another of Jay's fits, or something. I got gutsy enough to even start saying to his face, hey, I can hardly understand what you're trying to explain when you're so emotional. And again my coworkers started picking up on it and I even caught several of them telling him to get a hold of himself. After a while, he started to get a reputation as emotional and irrational, which I could tell pissed him off, but he stopped yelling at me as much. Anyway, he slipped once this week and I just said, I really can't talk to you when you're being this emotional, and he blew up at me asking why I was always calling him that. I shrugged and said, dude, you look like you're on the verge of tears. Go look in the mirror before you ask me, and he got really angry. I suggested he might start crying. That was a kinda flippant comment. He was red-faced angry, not tearful angry. And I could tell. I feel like a bit of a dick for being petty and trying to gaslight this guy into thinking everyone around him sees him like a crybaby. Am I the asshole for throwing the funeral party my late brother wanted? I'm 31 meters. My brother Tony was 30 meters and he passed away last Sunday. He was very ill and I have been taking care of him for the past 3 years. We went to foster care as toddlers because our parents did drugs and our aunts and uncles couldn't keep us in their homes. We reconnected with our bio family when we were in our early 20s. We were never adopted, but were fostered by the most amazing lady, our Mama Rosa, who fostered us from ages 12-13 till we became 18. We both lived in her home even after that. She is the closest thing to a mother I have. Our bio parents are now clean and we have an alright relationship. My brother wanted his funeral to basically be a surprise party, and I threw it. Mama Rosa helped me so much and we spent most of the day yesterday crying, but threw the party anyway. When people, mostly friends, came to the funeral, they got a party hat and a drink, and a short letter from Tony explaining why it's a party. His friends, knowing him, took it pretty well, laughed it out, cried it out with me and Mama Rosa, and honored his memory. When our bio parents and a few aunts came, they lost their shit when they saw what was going on. My bio dad called me a disgrace and bio mom said I should never have disrespected their son like that. I explained why it is a party in the first place, and they just said they are disappointed and should have known not to expect better from me. After they called me some names, I told them to just leave. They left. Aita? Am I the asshole for leaving the house almost as soon as I walked in after a week of being away? Long story short, I 29F brought my 3 kids to my mom's for the past week for a little mini vacation that husband could not attend due to work. He was fine with this cause he doesn't like my mom. I left last Friday and got back to our state this morning. When I walked through that door the house was a pigsty. Dirty dishes everywhere but the sink. Clothes everywhere. Half-full soda cans strewn throughout the house. Even on my desk, which is behind my husband's, there were easily 8 soda cans. 4 bowls, silverware, plates, water glasses and napkins. On my porch there were at least 12 beer cans piled up beside the returnable bin because his buddy Tyler came over Saturday to drink and apparently never cleaned up. Multiple takeout boxes and bags in both the kitchen and bedroom. My husband was in playing video games with 2 open bags of chips beside him and like 5 cans of soda on his desk. He nonchalantly asks me how my trip was as I was looking at the filth he created. It was spotless when I left because I grew up in a trashed home and have severe triggers when it comes to a messy house, so I always clean. Our youngest son said something about how dirty the place was and my husband said, oh yeah. Sorry, I haven't had time to clean. Yet he had time to play video games, so I left. Took the kids to the beach. I can't do filth. I truly cannot do it, he knows this. He knew when I was coming home too because I called him as soon as we got back to Austin. So he had roughly 2 hours to even attempt to clean up a bit and didn't. So anyways, I leave. He starts sending texts asking why I left because he missed us and I said I refused to come home to that much filth and that I found it over the top disrespectful that he would just leave it there, assuming I would pick it all up as my guess. He gets pissed and says he has been at work and just hasn't had time and wanted to spend some time relaxing on his video game before cleaning and sweating his ass off. I ignore it. He says I am being controlling and over-obsessive and need to chill out because he will get it done. So I text him about an hour ago, after 4 hours of being gone, and ask if it's done and he says no. That he had stuff to do. So I booked an hotel and told him I won't be returning untoday I learn it's finished. He is now pissed saying he missed the kids and wants to see them now but I'm keeping them from him, all because I can't deal with a bit of a mess. Am I the asshole for shredding my Mills list of visitation time? I'm prefacing this by saying that my F32 husband M34 is the only child in the family. His mom always wanted a grandbaby and unfortunately she was never able to become a grandmother as my husband was married before and his ex was unable to have kids. He also tried adoption while single but couldn't. When we found out that we were expecting mother-in-law couldn't be. She started visiting daily, didn't do that in the past. Started bringing stuff for the baby and paid a lot of money. My son is now 4 weeks old. Mother-in-law retired right after he was born and told us she was making herself free and available for her grandbaby. She stayed with me for a whole 2 weeks and only went home recently. Those 2 weeks were unbearable with her being all over me just to get TK the baby. I was getting fed up but I kept my mouth shut and played nice. Then she started complaining about missing her grandbaby and not being able to see him every day and watch him grow. She sent me a list called visitation time. In this list she mentioned all the times when we're expected to bring the baby to her. 5 days a week, and spending the weekend with NER. Hours from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and saying she had a bottle ready for feeding and a closet full of diapers. Not just that but she wants him overnight on Monday and Wednesday, that's 2 nights a week. Now as a new mom I couldn't imagine having my newborn son away from me for that long and especially overnight. I called her to give her my response which is a no but she ranted about how I need to lose up and stop being unreasonable and emotionally too attached. This pissed me off NGL. So I took her list and used scissors to shred it into pieces. I took a picture of the paper shred and sent to her hoping she'd get the message and get how serious I am about my no. Apparently. Aita? Am I the asshole for leaving my fiancé's family trip after he pranked me? My fiancé's mother, Leah, hates me. I honestly hate her too. I've never felt this way about another human being before. But she has been nothing but awful since day one. It got to the point she was telling people she didn't even have a son and wouldn't speak to him. Because she hates me so much. I could see how depressed he was over losing her and agreed to do family therapy. Leah agreed in therapy to stop being mean to me if she didn't have to talk to me at all. So she just pretends I don't exist. There were some very strict boundaries with this. She only gets to see her son occasionally. She will have no relationship with her grandkids. And if she starts with me again he is done with her. Leah happily agreed. Their relationship is kind of awkward these days. But I know he needs her in his life. And she is much better when we do see her. I recently agreed to go on a family trip with him. We attended a wedding out of state and spent a few days there. Leah was there, but she is very happy not to speak to me. So I wasn't worried. We were going to a water park with Leah and his 2 teenage sisters. Leah's husband, and one of his sister's boyfriends. I had a bikini, but my fiancé said he didn't think I should wear one that tied in the back. Because some of the rides were very intense. And he said he saw one that he loved for me when he was out with his sister. I thought that was sweet. I love wearing stuff I know he likes. Too I wore it. Imagine my surprise when we got there and Leah had the same bikini. It was like something out of a movie. She stopped mid-walk and just glared at me. Everyone was laughing, because they were all in on it. They saw something similar in TikTok and thought it would be funny due to how much we hate each other. They had been trying to pull it off for a while. But Leah bought a bathing suit while on the trip. So they saw the opportunity. Her husband and my fiancé were taking pictures of us. Leah was pissed. I was about to cry. Leah wasn't happy but got over it. Because she does join in on the pranks and the joking in the family. I don't, so it felt undeserved. And she and her husband have much more of a playful back and forth dynamic. So she didn't feel so betrayed. It was still really embarrassing walking around with her. I know this is probably petty but I also felt insecure because she has a nicer body than me. And I just didn't want to feel like there was any competition. Leah's husband even said something about at least I get to be married to the hot one. I decided to leave because I wasn't having fun. My fiancé was upset and felt I ruined the day. But did offer to leave with me. I said it was okay. But when I got back to the hotel I decided to change my flight and go home. I just don't like being the butt of the joke and didn't want to be there. My fiancé called me very hurt and said he felt leaving was an overreaction and now he is embarrassed in front of his family.